Christians, you need to get it together. This is the season to where we should all be coming together and combating stuff like this, combating against Halloween, against witchcraft. We as Christians can't stand and kneel down before the king and say like the enemy can't have this or the enemy can't have that, the enemy can't have my future, the enemy can't have my kids, the enemy can't have this, and then we go home and we sit down at night and then we crack open a Stephen King book and let the enemy have our ear gate. We can't sit here and say the enemy can't have our generations, and then we sit at home on the couch and we turn on a Michael Myers movie and just let the enemy have our eye gates. We can't do that. That's not how any of this works. The Lord calls for us to be separated, and so we have to be separated. There is no more murky waters. There has to be a line drawn and saying no more. I do not understand why Christians will sit and debate and defend Halloween and would defend death and would defend trick-or-treating and would defend horror movies and scary books, and they're just all about spooky season and spooky books, but then they won't defend Jesus. They would defend Halloween and all this crap more than they would defend Jesus, the one who actually died on the cross for you, the one who actually made a way for you, the one who actually became a bridge for you to get from hell to heaven. But then people want to partner with hell, and then from the same mouth sing, the enemy can't have my life, the enemy can't have me. When you sit down and you crack open a Stephen King book or a horror book or watch a horror movie or celebrate in any form of witchcraft, it is an abomination unto the Lord. There is not a separation. You were coming into agreement, and that exact moment you were opening the door and you're saying, enemy, you're allowed to have my eye gates. You're allowed to have my ear gates. You are allowed to have my generations. That is what you were saying. Where are the Christians? Where are the radical Christians that are standing up saying no more, no more? Where are you at? There is a small remnant of us. Join us. Put on your full armor. Put on the full armor. Understand that murky waters is no more. The lukewarm is no more. Be either hot or cold. Hey, so everybody knows Jack the Skeleton from Nightmare Before Christmas. Just the name in that alone tells you what kind of movie this is. The tradition of cutting and carving pumpkins was to do because of a man named Stingy Jack, who actually had a lantern carved to him in the form, like in a turnip, from the devil himself. That was the legend in Ireland. But the whole point of carving pumpkins and setting them on your porch all originated from the fact that you were trying to steer away evil spirits from coming to your house. That is the origin of carving pumpkins. And the origin of where we just dress up and go trick-or-treating. On this night, it was believed by the Celts that the night the veil was thin, witches and warlocks were out doing their spells, their incantations, everything that they feel that they can do. They can reach the other world very, very easily on that night because the veil is thin. And so there was the Celtic people believed that the festival, like the spirits walked the earth during this time. So it began to where people started dressing up. The origin of putting the costume on, of putting the mask on, began to where you would blend in. You would be familiar to the spirits. Do you get that? Familiar spirits. That they would see you dressed up and you would be familiar to them and they would leave you alone. That is the origin of Halloween, is to blend in with familiar spirits. There is also the candy and stuff that we receive. This is a tradition to where the Celts, they would leave food out to appease the souls, that they would give them treats on this time. And so there was also, during the Middle Ages, it was called souling, where children or poor adults would collect food and money from like local homes for prayers for the dead on All Souls Day. And then you get to where people and Christians say, well, it's All Saints Day. Well, as Christians, we don't worship saints. To me, that's not even an argument altogether at all. We don't idolize saints. We're not Catholic. We don't put the ash on our forehead. We don't do any of that. We honor Jesus Christ. We don't honor saints. So when people say, well, we're just celebrating that. No, you need to learn the origins, the reasons behind that people are doing stuff. The bottom line is the demonic activities that are behind trick-or-treating, that are behind the costumes, that are behind the jack-o'-lantern. Those are what matters. Those is what we partner with, what we set up in our home, what we decorate our home with. All of that matters.